morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with PoE Texas. Today's host is Tyler Andrews, and he is the CEO and will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Tyler will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Tyler, thank you so much for being with us today. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you for having me back on your webinar series. It is very exciting, and I'm really happy to be here to talk to you a little bit more about Power over Ethernet. I'm going to throw this up. If you didn't see our previous webinar on the fundamentals of PoE, then I do recommend going back and checking it out. I'll build on what we presented last time, but you don't necessarily have to have seen it to enjoy or get the most out of today's presentation. Why? It's really simple. You may be familiar with PoE for VoIP phones, security cameras, or Wi-Fi communications, and it still does all that, and so much more. Let's talk about the new ways PoE is changing intelligent buildings, and I'll use the showroom I built with all my free time during the COVID shutdown. First, let's talk about what's happening with USB-C. If you're in the tablet or the PC space, you know everyone from Apple to Google is converting to USB Type-C for power and communication. For those of you who may not be as familiar with USB-C, let me break down the highlights for you Barney style. I'll just throw that there. It can handle up to USB 3.0 data protocols, which give you up to 4K video and up to gigabit TCP/IP equivalent data throughput. It offers up to 100 watts of power with the new power delivery or PD standard. It does not require it does require cables rated for the power and USB standard you're using. However, it is still backward compatible, meaning older USB devices will still work with USB-C. So if you're asking yourself, why do I still have a job doing PoE if USB-C is so useful? Here's why. It can only run about 15 feet on relatively expensive cables that you don't already have in your building. And that's where PoE comes in. Using cables you already have in your facility and the new IEEE standards for PoE, we can offer you the best of both worlds. Let's start with PoE Plus. Driven to create the ultimate power over Ethernet accessory for the next generation of tablet computers, we have taken our patent-pending technology and relentlessly focused on form and function to produce a solution that satisfies the highest design requirements. One compact form factor that simultaneously fits US and EU wall boxes to give you the flexibility to install it anywhere to fit your application. The AT USB-C JB delivers IEEE 802.3 AT PoE Plus for modern fast charging, 2 USB-C ports for power delivery, 1 for wired data and 1 for wireless data. USB-C power delivery and data for all Apple iPad, Microsoft Surface Go, Samsung Tab, and more. USB-C power delivery for Amazon Fire, Lenovo M10, and any tablet. With our proprietary USB-C to Lightning cables, we can deliver power and data to current iPad models. We have considered the range of applications and built custom cable lengths for USB-C or Lightning tablets designed to fit top designer tablet enclosures. Most importantly, for the installation and support of the AT USB-C JB, we have made the installation simple and the configuration plug and play. Ready to learn more about the AT USB-C JB, as well as see how simple it is to install? Simply visit www.poetexas.com/AT-USB-C-JB or scan the QR code on any device. So what would you do with a PoE-enabled USB device like an iPad Air, Surface Go, or any USB-C device? Let's check that out. And here's the most important part. Besides all these cool things over here, most importantly, you save money for your customers. Here's the case for USB-C devices in general using PoE. All of the things like conference room schedulers, kiosks, point-of-sale stations, they're not new. Crestron and Microsoft and Zebra and a whole bunch of other companies have had purpose-designed and built devices to do all those things for some time, and they do work great. But if I buy their purpose-built device, it costs me $1,000 or more to buy. Then I have to program it or pay a specialty programmer $200 an hour to get it working. And now, take it a year later, I don't need that one specific thing I bought that device for originally. Guess what? I have a $2,000 paperweight. On the other hand, if I buy an iPad or a Surface Go, I still save money buying the device with a very nice wall mount, still less than $1,000. With a mobile device manager, MDM, and a few apps. A year from now, I don't need that thing anymore. Guess what I have? I have an iPad or Surface Go that I can redeploy how I'd like. Guys like Apple even have buyback programs to keep them up to date so you can update your hardware as you need. Using PoE to USB-C means you invest in assets you can keep and use again and again, not expenses with just a single purpose. Or, now this is cool, the higher PoE standard comes into play. Now we talk about schools. Guess who's come back to school this fall with all the students? Laptops. Almost all U.S. schools now have reached a 1-to-1 ratio of students to laptops. And guess how many charging outlets schools have available in most classrooms? Teachers are plugging in extension cords and power strips into the walls, violating code, creating tripping hazards, and creating electrocution hazards, frankly. Schools are also stockpiling chargers for their laptops because students lose or forget their chargers. And Wi-Fi networks are struggling to keep up with the load of 24 or so new clients in each classroom. Schools aren't ready for all those laptops, and rewiring classrooms could take weeks per room between permits, conduits, and more, and they can't do it while the students are in class. Or you can use the CARES Act federal funding to update a classroom in a few days with PoE. In order to keep students and teachers safe and productive, classrooms will need to be ready to deliver safe and reliable power and data to each student's desk. The new reality is that traditional AC power and Wi-Fi will not be ready to safely handle the new load students' laptops will put in the classroom. The good news is that now electrical outlets and Wi-Fi are not the only alternative. PoE Texas has launched a new device using their patent-pending technology to send inherently safe low-voltage power on Ethernet cable with wired data to laptops with USB-C ports. Are you ready to learn more about how to prepare your school for the return of students with their laptops? I'm here today at the Academy for International Education in Miami-Dade to find out more. Let's check it out. So there's the power of USB-C and what's coming down the pipe. Now let's change gears and talk a little bit about how you can get more out of the network drops you already have. How many wired Ethernet ports do you have out there, or your customers have out there, where you're not getting the most out of them? They sit there and use, because frankly, most devices don't even have an Ethernet port anymore. I imagine a lot, which is why we've created new PoE-enabled devices to get the most out of your network drops. Or how many times have you pulled in all of your cables and there's no way you're getting another drop in there? Then someone pops up asking for another network port. Or worse yet, you missed a device and it's on your nickel that you have to get another network drop to. Check this out. Now, cool stuff with what you can do with PoE and equipment you're probably familiar with. Now it's time to get to the good stuff, the stuff that makes your business grow. If you're a low voltage installer or integrator, and as a Microcom customer you likely are, then we need to talk about how you get into a $192 billion industry that's growing 14% year over year, lighting and automation. In particular, PoE lighting and automation. With PoE lighting and automation, you can offer your customers the full automated building and lighting experience. And no, I'm not talking about just a 2x2, one type of light fixture that's always sold out, and frankly has pretty limited functionality. Our Denton Digital Building Denton Digital Building Automation is a fully integrated building automation system. Your customer can choose from almost any light fixture, from your standard 2x4 troffer to designer fixtures that use traditional light bulbs. And you're still offering them a 30% savings over traditional automated lighting systems. Why would your customers be interested in a PoE or any kind of automated lighting system? First, there's the energy savings.
1, 2, 3.
Second, there are the amenities and features you need in a post-COVID world.
Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filters.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but.
Third, your customers may just need to stand out from the crowd. Let's just say you're thinking about offering all this PoE lighting and automation stuff. To answer some important questions up front, the Denton DBA system can come with everything from the PoE switch to the light switch and everything in between, while still being open to integrate through our RESTful API. Finally, there's no better time than now, financially speaking, to do an automation system like this. Besides being able to offer your customers a more sustainable system with 60% less copper and 100% less conduit, or 100% less steel conduit, most cities and utility companies offer rebates and incentives to install a lighting control system. In Austin, for example, the city will reimburse you up to 30% on a lighting automation system above the 30% savings PoE provides. Government incentives are getting better every day for finding ways to improve our energy efficiency, and PoE lighting sits right in the middle of that process. And so should you. I'll wrap up on a final thought on the biggest problem with PoE lighting I need to let you in on. Because it looks just like old-fashioned lighting systems, you have the same looking light and the same light switches, people can't really appreciate how smart your lighting system really is unless, of course, you can show them. So, standard on our upfront, no hidden fees, no subscription pricing, you get access to our customizable wall controller screens that can run on any Android or iPad or browser screen. This is the one we used for the showroom. So there you have it. We came full circle back to the USB-C to PoE converters for iPads and tablet-based to support our wall station program. Now, I hope I've given you a new perspective on where Power over Ethernet has come over the past few years. With the new technology available to you now, if you're looking to expand what you can offer as a low voltage integrator and installer, there's no better way to supercharge your solutions than with Power over Ethernet. Thank you for your time, and Julie, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for that wonderful presentation. We enjoyed it very much. And yes, it looks like I've got some questions here for you. Let's get started with the first one. Let's see here. With smart signage these days, what is the biggest monitor or set we have available?
That's a great question. If you're going with smart signage that is totally dedicated signage, we can offer up to a 46-inch touchscreen display. I know 36-inch touchscreen display is very common. The 46-inch, you have to get in some pretty specific power requirements, but yes, so 46-inch, it's a fair size screen to get that big.
Excellent, thank you, Tyler. Next question here for you. Are the USB-C cables universal or specific to tablets?
That's a great question. USB-C cables are universal, but they're not all made the same. And what I mean by that is there are two features you want to check on your USB-C cable specification. What type of USB it does. So there are cables that are USB 2.0 and USB 3.0. And so if you're trying to go with that faster data set, you want 3.0. If you're not going as fast, you go with 2.0. But something that's even more important is the wattage rating for the cable. Some USB-C cables are rated for 15 watts, some are rated for 30, 60, and 100 watts. So if you're thinking about taking your USB-C cable and connecting it to your laptop or larger USB-C device, make sure you have at least a 60 watt or greater USB-C cable. Now, I'll warn you, there is a price premium that comes with that. You can find really cheap USB-C cables. They're not going to give you that performance that you need. And by that, I mean, they're not actually going to work when you try and plug them into your high-powered USB-C source to connect to your device.
Thank you very much for that, Tyler. Next question here for you. Let's see if I got this right. Regarding USB-C power, how fast, let's see, it says power can go how fast in cable runs. Does that make sense?
Well, let's talk about data. Our product line, we currently built it on USB 2.0, and that's in part for the chip availability. That'll do 95 megabits per second per device. The reality is it's 3 times faster than Wi-Fi, and it also reduces the load on your network, so you don't have, let's say, a dozen or 2 dozen of these wall-mounted devices, not having them all gigabit because the tablet can is useful for you. Power. So when it comes to power, we can do PoE all the way from PoE, which is 12 watts, up to 802.3 BT Type 4 Class 8. I know that's a big long title, but what you can note, that gives you 72 watts at your device. So that's what you can do, is that range from 12 watts to 72 watts through your network cable, and that can go 330 feet. Then you can go an additional 15, once you convert it to USB-C, you can go an additional 15 feet on your USB-C cable to your end device.
Great, thank you for that. Thank you, Tyler. Next question here for you. Can you touch a little bit on when you mentioned one can apply for access to the CARES Act? Can you touch on that a little more for us?
That's a great question. Schools are best experts on that. So if based on our experience we've had with schools, what the CARES Act is designed to do is assist students to return to the classroom after COVID. And part of that returning to the classroom will be to support all of the laptops that the schools used the CARES Act and previous funding to buy. So from that perspective, it is a perfect niche for the CARES Act. If you're looking for, and I apologize, I'm just totally blanking, there is the funding for installing network devices. We've tried going down that route for network, the funding that schools can use for network devices, and it's not been super successful. That's where we're encouraging people really focus on the CARES Act. The money is there, and it is for this type of purpose.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that information, Tyler. Next question. Can you tell us anything about what may be in the works or what's next for PoE Texas?
Oh, that's a great question. So what's next for PoE Texas is, so I'll throw out a couple things. For example, if you can see behind me, we are expanding our selection with motorized blinds. We are looking seriously at things like cameras, access control. We're looking at how we do space utilization. So there's a broad set of products that are at the edge of PoE. They're kind of on the periphery of PoE, but now they need to be really brought into the PoE fold and become part of the PoE experience.
Excellent. Thank you. Maybe Q1 of next year, we could have another webinar and talk about that some more, right?
We should, yes. We'll get back together. We'll talk about the very exciting stuff. So I will point out though that this is a fun one. I'm going to cycle my colors here so that you could see the other thing that schools and students are in, and this is my lighting control panel. Another thing that students are very interested, or schools are interested in, is Alyssa's Law. So if you haven't seen Alyssa's Law, it's a law where teachers and students need to be able to give notification in case of an emergency. In this case, we've built these wall stations with an alarm set, and you could use any button. There's little lanyard buttons that we integrate, wireless, battery, they've got batteries that'll last for 5 years. And if you push the emergency, this is where PoE really comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and just open the blinds, because if you're looking behind me, these blinds are opening. And assume you're in your standard school classroom configuration, everybody's having a good time, and they're having a good day. Now, here's the problem that schools face when it comes to active shooter situations in triggering an alarm. Let's say I hit the alarm and it sounds and looks to everybody like a fire alarm. Well, guess what all the students and teachers are going to do? They're going to get up and they're going to head directly for their standard exit that they've used for fire drills. Well, if the active shooter is at that exit or near that exit, a good part of your student and teachers are heading toward the active shooter situation, not knowing what's going on. The big benefit for PoE lighting and automation is now your lights, your blinds, your door locks, and your wall stations that give alerts are ready and can respond. So now I'm going to go ahead and lock down. So now you know it's a lockdown. The lights have turned blue. The blinds have closed. If I had my lock here, the door would be locking. You can guide, and then you can use the building systems to drive people toward safety. And then the other thing that's going in the background you haven't seen, emails have gone out, texts have gone out. And these can be very specific, so you know what button was pushed where. It's already built in your network. So that is another area, Julie, that I'll mention where PoE is going to be coming into its own, is all of those systems being able to come together and work on one system. It doesn't take, trillions of dollars to integrate. It can, and the installers and integrators you have online, they can do that now. Did I lose you, Julie?
Yes, thank you so much. That is excellent information. All schools should have that. Anyway, a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind. If we need to reach out to PoE Texas for either customer service or tech support, what would you suggest is the best or fastest way, most efficient way to reach out to you guys?
That's a fantastic question, and one we feel is really important. We have an email address, success@poetexas.com. We have our phone number, It's on our website, we publish it, and our service level agreement, meaning I hear about it if we don't make this agreement, is if you don't get a response and you're not in contact with an expert within an hour. Normally it's direct, you call in, you'll speak to a real person here in Austin, Texas. We don't farm out our customer success to overseas farms, and they're all experts, fully empowered to be able to deal with your questions and your issues, whether you have an issue with an order not delivering on time, or getting something that you found out you need something different and changing your order, to very technical questions. How do I program for this? How do I set it up? They're experts, and they are there and respond within an hour, phone or by email.
Excellent. Thank you, Tyler. Last question here for you. Can you give us an overview on where your products are manufactured?
That's a great question. We do manufacturing in Asia to keep our products cost competitive. Our goal is, with the whole automation system in the building, is to be able to make it affordable for you at a 2,000 to 5,000 square foot footprint. So all of our products are very carefully designed, produced in cost-effective ways to achieve that price point that you need. And I'd say bid it out, and you'll be surprised to find out how cost-effective it can be. Having said that, and I'll finish on one thing. I'll stop producing in Asia when Apple stops producing in Asia. You know, the largest company in the world. Having said all that, we do have production capability in North America. So if you're working on a government project and you have a made in America requirement, we can do the full board assembly, board production, board assembly, and all of our material produced. It's designed in the US now, it can be produced in the US. There's a minor price difference there. Very often, depending on volume, we can even get almost price parity. So we do produce in Asia, and we can produce in North America if that's what your product needs.
Tyler, thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this presentation has been recorded, and we will upload it to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can view it again. Tyler, thank you so much for your time and all of your valuable information today. Until next time, when we talk about the next thing going on with PoE Texas, and of course with Microcom, we will see you again very soon. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, Julie.
Bye-bye now.